In the country, the days pass in such calm, measured silence that a man begins to hear his own soul again. The fields speak more honestly than the city ever can, and in the quiet work of the land he feels himself returning to what is simple, and therefore what is true. This sense of quiet truth is what George Inness spent his entire life trying to capture. When you look at his landscapes, you're not just seeing a meadow, a tree line, or a sunset. You're seeing the atmosphere between them, the mood that holds everything together. Inness belonged to a generation of American painters who wanted to move away from the crisp, detailed landscapes of the Hudson River School. Instead, he drifted towards something more suggestive, more emotional, something that later came to be known as tonalism. Inness believed that a painting should feel like a memory, softened at the edges, shaped more by emotion than by strict observation. That's why so many of his works dissolve into mist or glow with a gentle haze. He layered thin veils of color that allowed light to seep through, letting the canvas breathe. His skies blur into the fields, and the fields slide into shadow. Nothing is abrupt. Everything settles into a single, unified mood. For Inness, light wasn't just illumination. It was meaning. He often painted at the threshold moments of the day: dawn, dusk, twilight. Times when the world feels half awake, half asleep, when the ordinary becomes quietly sacred. These scenes come from real places, farms, hillsides, small homesteads. But he transformed them into emotional landscapes, places that feel lived in, even if you don't see a single person. What makes his paintings so inviting is how deeply they connect to the rhythm of rural life. Smoke rising from a chimney, cattle wandering through a field, a path that disappears into soft shadow. These are small details, but in Inness's hands, they become symbols of peace, reflection, and belonging. You can almost smell the damp grass, feel the cool air settling after sunset, hear the faint movement of animals settling in for the night. Inness wasn't just painting scenery. He was painting the feeling of being there, a calmness that reaches you before you know why, a sense of home, not tied to a specific house or farm, but to a way of living closer to the earth, closer to yourself. In his later years, George Inness lived in Montclair, New Jersey, where he painted almost every day. In September 1894, while visiting Scotland, he suffered a stroke after watching a sunset. And according to his son, his final words were simply, "My God, how beautiful." A fitting end for a man whose life was devoted to the moods and meanings of light. Thank you for spending this time with his work. If you'd like to support my channel and explore these paintings further, you can find a collection of George Inness prints in the link below. And if this kind of art speaks to you, don't forget to subscribe. I'll be sharing a new video every week,